Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Cold Steel Swift 3. Oh my god. This knife single-handedly makes the assisted thing cool again. This is an assisted knife with an Atlas lock. And I know that makes people eye roll, but you deploy this, I dare you to not smile. I dare you not to smile. It feels incredible. Could it be de-assisted? I don't know, probably. But honestly, I just like it. I think it's extremely cool. This is a stupidly capable knife that still manages, despite being pretty monstrous, it still manages to be a fairly carryable knife. And it honestly just feels indestructible. This knife legitimately feels like I could carry it anywhere. I could stab it in a tree and leave it there. I mean, I wouldn't. It's CPM M4, right? But this feels like a knife that you take out, and it's just going to be an absolute powerhouse, which is great because that's what Cold Steel is known for. Thanks to Knife Center for sending this in. You can buy this knife. I will link it down in the description. It does help my channel and use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and measure it. It's a big old knife. 9 1/4. Blade length, 4 inches, cutting edge, 3.75. That's cool. They need to make a Swift 3 compact. Maybe they do. Maybe they do and I don't know, right? But if they don't, they definitely need to. They need to make this knife about 7.5 to 7 3/4, right? Or maybe like an 8-inch. I guess the FM1 is pretty close to the 8-inch version, but it's not assisted. I think the assisted feature on this knife is a bonus because of how it feels and how mechanical it sounds with the, combined with the operation of the Atlas lock. It looks, feels, and sounds different than any other assisted knife that I've ever experienced. So anyways, knife big is what I'm saying. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom skills you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. Look at it up against the 8010. It's huge. It's a big knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Where are you? Right here. Again, bigger than both. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. All right, it's big. How's the action? God, it's, like I said, it's just phenomenal. It does run on bearings. You just need a little lift. The sound is... It's not only the thwack against the stop pin, but you're also hearing the quick manipulation, you're hearing that quick mechanical manipulation of the Atlas lock as it moves back, and then it's like, it's like the gun is like reloading itself, or the knife is like reloading itself. Watch. I love that. I love that. And yes, it does have a little safety. Not that the Atlas lock needs it. The Atlas lock is at bare minimum is the same strength as the Triad lock. I think they tested the Atlas lock to be, it's Cold Steel testing it, right? But I think they tested it to actually hold more weight. And I would believe it. I don't think anyone needs anywhere near the strength of the Triad lock. I think this Triad lock is so comically overkill. In fact, I have been making jokes about it for years. Not necessarily the lock itself, but the community, nay, the cult it created. The marketing cult. Nobody needs that. But it is cool. And the Atlas lock is apparently even stronger. And now you can add a safety to it, right? So that you can attach this, you can attach your cable to it and you can scale a mountain with this thing being the anchor. And you know what? Honestly, you probably could. I don't think you should try, but I think you could. I think the lock is that strong. Anyways, the action is so satisfying. And that safety makes it to where it does not move. It also, it takes a lot of force to move that over too. You know that it's ready because it's got the red dot, right? That's how you know you're in serious mode. Also works in the closed position so that, it doesn't open if you don't want it to. Like if you want to make sure, if you're working and it's getting jostled around in your pocket, You don't want it to open because it opens with a lot of force. You might want to put that safety on. I think that might have been a good idea, right? It's accessible on both sides, which tells me that this is probably a bar. It's probably a little bar that goes all the way through, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's just 2 tabs. Could just be 2 tabs. It's kind of, I mean, I'm not sure that I can see it. Oh, no, it is. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. I never even looked in there. It's a little bar. No, it's not. That's not it. It's not moving. Okay, I'm wrong. That little bar in there is probably the closed position stop pin. Let's look and see. Yeah, I think that is. Now, where that is touching, can we see it? I think we can. Is it making a little mark right there? It appears that it is. So this is, it is close. Can you see that what I'm talking about? Like that little tiny mark. I believe that's the mark that's being made by the stop pin. It's close. You still have to remove a pretty good amount of material. And this is M4. If you are beating up M4 so bad that it needs to be sharpened to remove, because M4, the special thing about M4 is it's like a non-stainless, ultra-tough M390. So M4 they use it in competition cutting. It is way more likely to roll than chip. If you need to remove that much material, right? Now, over a long period of time, maybe. Doubtful, but maybe. But if you're in a short period of time needing to remove that much material, it means that you are reprofiling because there's like chunks of the blade missing. If you're doing that to M4, you are using it wrong. Like you went out with your knife and you did it wrong. You made a wrong. You do it dumb. That's what happened. So yeah, it's close, but also let's consider, what it would take to get to that point for that to be a problem. I think they probably should have made this, because it looks like they probably could have moved that bar back. They probably should have just deepened up that choil, right? And then made it engage like further back. I think that probably would have been just a better way to do that. But okay, not that big of a deal. Anyways, yeah, action. Is that what we were talking about, the action? The action's really good. Can you pull back on the Atlas lock and make it fire? No, you can't, but that would have been cool though, right? Just the studs, and they operate just beautifully. I am in love with the action on this. The torsion, the bar starts right here, and whoa, it is really wanting to fire, man. That's a powerful assist for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little thicker. It's pretty hefty boy. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. It's a lot. It's a lot of knife to carry, right? But it's not impossible. If you're a guy who likes a bigger knife, but maybe you're like, I don't know, like my Cold Steel Espada XL, like I told everybody, it doesn't bother me, but it kind of bothers me. Well, here you go, because this is much more reasonable, right? Let's go ahead and weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? You are looking at titanium nitride coated. TiNi, I think is what they listed. It's not titanium carbonitride. It's not the same thing as the Spyderco Smock. That would have been cool. Or DLC, but no. Had they done that, it would have been a lot more. I think that's just to add corrosion resistance for M4, which it does need. It's M4. It needs to be coated. You can carry around an uncoated M4 blade, but it's gonna rust. It weighs 6 ounces. It's pretty heavy. Not crazy. This is about the line for me. Balance, probably because of the weight of the Atlas lock in there and also the steel liners. Balance is about right here. Not bad though. It feels really good in hand. It feels pretty balanced in hand. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So the pivot is a T8, and this other body screw back here is also a T8, and that goes into the milled steel clip. Not titanium, but steel clip's kind of cool. I do have a gripe with it. I think you can see it. But yeah, it's just one other body screw, and it's T8s. You can take it apart. I mean, like you have to, put the torsion bar back in there and all. Probably not a lot of reason to do that. So I would try to avoid it if I could. It should. I mean, everything should be fine. Like the honestly, and by the way, this runs on bearings. I didn't actually bring that up. You'd think that it would be like a lot of other cold steels and run on phosphor bronze and nylon, but no, it's on bearings. So even if those bearings get caked up, that torsion bar is going to push through a lot. Like it's powerful. But if you have to take it apart, it's far from impossible. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be go. Should be go. I just like leave words out now. Why why use many word when few word do trick? Is that what Kevin Malone said on The Office? Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness. This does still feel distinctly cold steel without being outrageous in blade stock thickness. So 132 thousandths there. Pretty middle of the road. God, that thing just sounds awesome. So we've done all the stuff. Let's go ahead and move into the meat and potatoes. My goodness, the ergonomics. This is a tool, man. This is so comfortable. Nothing is overly aggressive. It feels cold steel without all the unnecessary, crazy jimping or the unbelievably aggressive G10. It still feels like I picked this up. I'm like, cold steel made this, but man, ergonomically, it's just a dream. Jimping could be better. I need a little bit more traction. You need to double the jimp zones, and they need to be deeper and thinner. The best example of jimping that I have ever seen on a knife is what Spyderco does here. It doesn't need to be that aggressive, but this is almost decorative. We need that jimping there. Blade, straightforward, says Swift 3. I don't need to have the name of the knife on the knife. That's like putting the name of your car like on the windshield. Like I always think that is just ridiculous. Like there's a Corvette in town, and on the windshield it says Corvette, and I'm like, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. Like it says Corvette on the back of it, and it's a Corvette. Everybody knows what it is. Like why? Why? I just hate. That's just so dumb. We don't need that on there. If you want to put the cold steel stuff on the other side, I think that's fine, right? At least one person who's watching this is going to be like, I drive a car and put the sticker and then I put that on the windshield. Don't waste your time getting mad at me over it. Don't, because you're not going to change my mind, and it also shouldn't affect, like it's yours. Like you bought it, you do whatever you want, right? So you don't have to listen to me. But don't waste your time thinking that you're going to give me an argument that's going to change my mind, because you're not. It's something that I don't. It's like, I'll tell you something. Let me tell you something else on the subject of cars. Those of you who drive Dodge Chargers and Dodge Challengers, you driving around with that little yellow thing still on the front skirt there, on the front, the thing that hangs below the bumper. You driving around with those on there? Take those off. They're not supposed to stay there. It's also not protecting you from anything. Some of them are pink. Take them off. It looks dumb. And they're not supposed to stay there. All right. Okay, anyways. Yeah, kind of decorative jimping there, but ergonomically feels great. Lock-in's just awesome. Blade, incredibly capable, plenty robust. CPM M4. I always tell people, don't use your knife like a pry bar or hammer or screwdriver. I still don't think you should, but I think M4 will hold up a little better to the cave person. Like if you're like, oh, I'm a professional rock smasher and I sit out my driveway and I smash big rocks into smaller rocks with my hand. Like if that's what you do, then I can imagine how you use tools, right? This is a knife that should be used as a knife, but will hold up to that sort of like Neanderthal kind of abuse. Technically, I think it's possible to break this. Like you could put the blade in a vise and beat on the handle with a sledgehammer, but it should handle, the most primitive, ape behavior. It should handle that. Like the G10, looks good. Wish it came in some different colors, but it looks good. Aggressive enough, but not too aggressive. Really, one of the only things I don't like about this is the pocket clip because of that stupid little bump. Like, it's just on a milled clip. You need more of, what do I have out here I got nothing, obviously. I don't like the bump. I want it to be a gradual, it's more of like a rounded, like a lump, but a gradual one, right? This just, it's very pinchy. And then you have this ultra long, like diving board bill. It just makes it hard to get in and out of the pocket. It's just annoying. Now, once it's in there, it's going to stay, right? So, I mean, if you hang upside down a lot, well, all right. If you're a bat, then yeah, it's not going to fall out of your pockets. Well, if you're a bat, you're probably not wearing pants, and you probably can't use a pocket knife. If you're a vampire, right? Vampires have pockets, right? Vampires wear pants. Nice pants, I bet. Fancy. Vampires usually dress pretty fancy. So yeah, once it's in there, if you're upside down, your vampire dress pants, they won't come out of there. But like normal carry, which is the vast majority of people who are going to buy this, because you don't need a special, despite what Cold Steel Ultra fans, Cold Steel cult members would have you believe, you actually don't need a special license to carry a Cold Steel knife. You can literally just wander over to Knife Center and boop, and then you give them money and they send you this, right? They're not gonna check what level of like tactical knight you are. Like you don't have to be like midnight level black, level 60 tactical elite squad. Like they're not gonna check your card. They're just going to send it to you. So yeah, it's a weird review. I'm having fun with this one because this knife, it just makes me smile. Stop pin is located right here. It's just so much, like the engagement is so ridiculous. It is it's like hilariously solid. There's no stick. There's no pivot lash. A lot of tension. It just meets a wall of tension right here. Man. The snap into the closed position feels really good. And it has remained centered. This one maybe slightly favoring the left. Is that like in my imagination? I think maybe it's slightly. I think you could probably pivot adjust that out. How much is this knife? It's $200. It is made in Taiwan. It's not made in China. And it is M4. And it's also big, right? And a lot of times big doesn't always dictate, like just because big knife doesn't mean always more expensive. But this is a lot of M4. Not upset at the price tag. I think it probably could have been a little bit less expensive. But then again, Benchmade, and I know those knives are made in the United States. I remember when the Super Freak was $190. And it was G10, steel liners, and CPM M4, right? And even then I was like, this is a little bit too high. I mean, like this, we're kind of right there. I'm not mad at the price tag. This is an incredibly capable knife. It's not for everybody because it's huge. It's also not for everybody because it's assisted. Again, you probably can de-assist it. I don't know. I'm not going to try and do that because this is going to go back to Knife Center. But they need to make a smaller version, and they also need to make a version that's manual. You can just get it like non-assisted. But as this is, do I recommend, if you're looking for an incredibly ultra capable, ultra tough, big knife that's still, compact enough to carry every day, and you don't mind the fact that it's assisted, or maybe you're charmed by the combination of the Atlas lock. Whoops, I fired it into my table there. The Atlas lock and the assisted feature. Should you buy this? You absolutely should. It's not for everybody, but those folks absolutely should. You'll love this. It's freaking awesome. And you know what? Even if you don't need it, it's a freaking awesome knife. So, yeah, very good, very cool. I'm going to put it in my recommended knives playlist, but again, specifically for those of you paying attention to this part of the video, not recommended to everybody, just recommended for people looking for something of this size that they need to really depend on for multiple decades. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Thanks again to Knife Center for loaning this one to me. Links for this knife at Knife Center down in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.